everyone, and welcome to Beyond Focus TV. Of course, I'm Angie Daniel, the hostess of the show. Do you know what labor union stands for? If you don't know, or if you have a slight idea of it, well, tonight you're going to get a whole enchilada of it. We have with us the Deputy Director of Local 237, Mr. Winston George, who's going to talk to us about the whole idea behind it, what it takes, and until you get to retire. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with an introduction. Welcome back. Before the break, I told you I was going to introduce to you Mr. Winston George from Local 237. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, part of our show, what we do is starting off with a brief introduction of the person that's going to talk on behalf of the organization. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I really am happy to be here, and I bring you greetings on behalf of our president, Gregory Floyd, Teamsters Local 237, the executive board, and the entire membership, 24,000 members and 9,000 retirees. We are a city union, meaning we represent people who work for the city of New York. But you asked me to talk about myself a little bit, and I'll just do that. Yes. You know, I would love to have the stamp made in the USA on my forehead right here, but I don't, because I was born in the Republic of Panama. And I grew up in Panama, came to the U.S. when I was about 30 years old. And pretty soon after that, I became involved with the union movement. So that for the last 30 years, I've been working with unions. I'm married for the last 32 years. I have 3 children. My son is in the U.S. Navy. I have a daughter who is a teacher, another one who does marketing and quality assurance for Victoria's Secret. You know Victoria's Secret,
yes,
right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Right. So when I came to the U.S., one of the first things I did, because when I was in Panama, I was a clergyman, I was a minister. I was a parish pastor for about 10 years. And when I came here, I thought I would go back and you know, do work with the churches, which I did for a short while. Then I went to get a master's degree in theology. I did a clinical pastoral residency at Lutheran Medical Center here in Brooklyn for about 1.5 years, and counseling people, counseling the community in the emergency room, pre-op surgery, counseling, and all of this gave me a sense that I wanted to work with the community. So I got the master's in theology, pastoral counseling, and worked for hospitals in the city of New York. And then I went back to school because I wanted to have a license. So I got a master's degree in social work, which gave me a license as a psychotherapist. Now I've worked with unions for, as I said, over 32 years, about 30 years rather. And I've worked more in the service, human services department rather than in the political arena. But certainly it has been gratifying, you know, to be in the union movement for that long.
Wow, that is really good to know. I didn't know that you were a clergyman, because when we talked earlier, we talked about basic stuff of what union, labor union was. I know a lot of people know if they work for the city, if they work for a hospital or a certain environment, that they have to be unionized. But can you tell the community what labor union stands for?
Okay, the labor unions are in fact organizations of workers who come together in order to negotiate better contracts, benefits for their membership. And you know, before we had the modern labor movement, even in antiquity, there were what we called guilds.
Yes.
And this was groups of professionals or tradespeople, craftspeople, like the iron workers or the stone workers, the people who made jewelry, they all came together in antiquity and formed associations. Well, the modern labor movement started in the 19th century, and especially in the United States,
yes.
when we come to the post-industrial era, where factories sprung up, you know, the railways expanded all over the United States, shipyards were busy with import and export, and machinery was moving, making production much more easy. For instance, think about the Model T Ford and the factories that made automobiles in the United States. Well, these are all mechanized, hundreds of workers, perhaps thousands of workers all over. And the need arose for these people to have a voice. So their voice came through collective bargaining.
Yes.
And so the main function of a labor union is to bargain with the employer on behalf of the employees to secure decent wages, working conditions, and all the benefits that today not only union members but others who are not in the union enjoy.
Yes.
Can you think about some of the things that a worker has today that you think might have come out of collective bargaining?
Yeah, wages.
Wages, okay. All right.
Wages, benefits, vacation benefits, because I think I mentioned it to you earlier, I work within the management of a hospital.
Right.
And we're not unionized.
Okay.
But
unfortunately
we're not unionized. But because of the union workers, we do benefit.
Right.
Once they get, if they get a wage increase, we will have to get an increase because of that. So we will have what you call a lifestyle stipulation enhancement. So just to change it, it's in a way in itself, you do get paid or you are benefiting from the unionized corporation.
Absolutely.
Although you're not part of union. What I wanted to kind of cover early on at this show is, can you tell us the benefits of being a union member? Because I think that for me, I understand what it is not to have union representative, but can you tell us the benefits of being
there's the employer has power because the employer is the one that is going to provide the wages, okay? And the employer has the authority, not only the power, the authority, to make decisions that affect the employee's life. So what labor unions do is balance the power. On this table, on this side of the table, you have the employer, and on this side of the table, you have the representing body of employees. And so that there's a balancing of power, and we are able to speak on behalf of the millions of workers who are the productive force, in that workplace. Now, you mentioned wages, but there's some other things. Did you know that there was a time when there was not an 8-hour work day? People work from sun up to sundown.
Well, in some countries, in some places, they still do.
They don't have unions. They don't have unions.
Yes.
Do you know that there was a time when there was not a 5-day work week? Do you know that there was a time in which you didn't have vacation pay or sick pay for that matter, all right? And the employer was able to fix the wage scale according to what they wanted. There was patronage, meaning an employer could hire anybody they want and fire anybody they want, all right? So that the unions brought this to an end and established a system in which there is fairness. So let's look at the word fairness. And let's look at the word organization in terms of how a workplace is structured. So
Hold on one second.
Okay.
We have to take a break. It's my producer's telling me we have to take a break, but I'm writing it down. Organization and fairness. When we come back, we're going to continue because I would love for the community to understand what it stands for, what labor unions really do within a community. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We'll be right back. welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. We took a short break because we had to, actually, but we are here with Mr. Winston George talking about what labor union stands for. And before we took a break, we were talking about organization and fairness.
Absolutely.
I cut you off from that. Can you please continue?
Well, yes. Unions the process begins by organizing workers. And workers are organized perhaps by their titles or their geographic area or the industry in which they work.
Yeah.
For instance, in our organization, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters is covering workers in a myriad of industries, from the airline industry to transportation industry, brewery or agriculture. And each one of these are organized into locals, all right, so that they then are able to formulate a contract with the employer or with a group of employers. Now, organizing is one of the prime activities of the union. Once we get people organized, there is a contract that is negotiated with the employer. So we organize, and I believe that unions are good not only for the employee, but it's also good for the employer.
Yes.
Because they establish a basis by which people can work harmoniously, and you know what to expect. The employer knows what to expect from the employees know what to expect from the employer.
But you know, I don't know, in most facilities, unions are not looked at as a benefit for the employer. Why is that? People see it as like, oh, you know, like you calling the union on, you know, because it's like once you have the union involved in a dispute, it's an ongoing battle. Do you? I mean, as an employee, I can tell you that's how people are seeing it.
Right. Well, the battle only ensues when there is not goodwill, negotiation, or when there's not a goodwill effort to come to terms. All right. And because of this, both the employer and the union have people who are specifically trained to negotiate, whether it's a grievance or whether it's a contract. And these people know labor law. They understand what the stakes are on both sides, and therefore they're able to come, hopefully, to an amicable and harmonious agreement.
Earlier you mentioned about different locals. Can you tell us a little bit about the differentiation of what the local theory stands for, why people have different groups of labor unions?
Sure. Well, New York City, for instance, has what we call the Municipal Labor Committee. And the Municipal Labor Committee, there are about 99 unions in this conglomerate. They represent about 500,000 workers and retirees. And you know the axiom, you know, in unity there is power.
Yes.
So the Municipal Labor Committee comes together and they're able to collaboratively support things that they might not be able to do by themselves. But one local, all right, any one of these organizations may comprise one or several locals. Let's say, for instance, DC 37, which is the largest union within the Municipal Labor Committee. They have about 125,000 workers. There are about 54 active locals in that that one body.
Okay.
Each one of those locals represent people who work in different areas of the city of New York. Now, our local 237 represents 24,000 members and 9,000 retirees. And we're an offshoot, actually, of DC 37. A lot of people hear local 237 and they hear our union, DC 37, local 237. There was a political split, you know, about 60 years ago. By the way, this is our 60th year, local 237. Wow. And so there was a political split, and we formed a union, a separate union. We got a charter from the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and we are the largest body within the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Now, why do we say International Brotherhood? Where are the women here?
No, I know you guys are represented by women. I think isn't it like just an idea behind it? Like,
well,
don't tell me there's no women involved.
there are women.
Okay.
At
That's
least,
gonna be a whole other show.
Yes, there is in fact at least a third, and perhaps even a growing number of women in the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. This international union has about 1.4 million members in the United States, in Canada, and in Puerto Rico. All right, and the general president, James Hoffa, is the son of, everyone has heard of Jimmy Hoffa, okay, the legendary leader of the Teamsters. But Jim Hoffa now is the president, and we are the largest local within that conglomerate.
Okay, so I wanted people to understand, because I would say part of Brooklyn, sometimes you'll see there are people, standing outside doing, within organizations, just campaigning against or for a local, or when is there a voting within a company for a local representative? Is there a time that people will vote and say, okay, this is where I want to be represented by, or can they make that choice?
Any group of employees can actually decide that they want to organize and to be part of a union.
Okay.
All right, and therefore what they would do is get together and sign a petition, the cards, submit that to the employer, who has the obligation to really respect that.
Yes.
To respect that.
Okay.
In New York City, we have the Municipal Labor Relations Board.
Okay.
There is a Labor Relations Board that is in charge of certifying unions or certifying groups of employees who would like to become unionized. Okay. And therefore, there are laws that protect union activity. There are laws that protect people who want to become part of a union. And it's against the law for an employer to inhibit that or in any way try to quash people from doing.
Because, I don't know, but for me, I know it's like a little bit taboo. But before we continue this conversation, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and talk about your position within Local 237, actually. What is it that you really do within Local 237? We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Angie Daniel. We are here with Mr. Winston George. He is the Deputy Director for Local 237 of the Labor Union. You represent a very interesting group of people within the union, the Local 237. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to present you with a token of appreciation for having us on the show. This is the T-shirt that our members wore at the Labor Day parade recently. And turning this around, we have a picture and some words, important words. Stop the war on workers. Okay. And as you may have been following on the news, public employees right now are pretty much under attack.
That's what I keep mentioning to you.
many of the legislatures in some states have tried to blame their economic woes on union members. Yes. The fact that public employees are making too much money, they have too many benefits, and so forth. Well, this is all really not true. It's a distraction, and the blame really lies in the greed of Wall Street and those people who support that kind of a thing. where they've made bad investments. Cities have overextended themselves in certain investments, and therefore, you know, the chickens have come home to roost because now they find themselves in a shortfall. But one of the benefits of being in a union is the possibility of retiring with a decent pension and benefits. There is the economic negotiated benefits, which is salary, all right? But also all the other benefits are negotiated. Our members retire with a pension, and they have a health insurance plan. They have the welfare fund benefits, eyeglass, dental, prescription drugs, and all of these benefits. But let me just summarize this in terms of A, B, and C. A is activism, all right? We advocate for our members. B is for benefits. We are able to provide benefits through the employer contributions. And C, we provide a community, because our commitment is that you are a union member from the cradle to the grave. We take care of you, and we take care of your family, all right? And I keep this in my office. Look at this. It says, work union, live a better life. Here is the father, or for that respect, the mother, and here's the child. What a contrast, because there's a continuity, you know, of benefits that men and women who belong to unions are able to enjoy, which in fact we also provide the incentive for employers in the private sector to provide for their employees as well. So there are public unions and there are private sector unions. The public sector unions are those that are involved in governmental work, whether it's city, state, federal, all right? These are the public sector unions. And then there's the private sector unions, those who are involved in private sector activities. Any company or corporation is able, these are our private sector unions.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention to you, I know within each organization, there's always that yearly plan for the employees or benefits. What would that be for Local 237?
Local 237 aims to continue negotiating good contracts for our members, to provide a solid defense whenever their benefits or their job is threatened. I think the main thing of a labor union is to assure that a member has job security. And job security is the #1 priority. Apart from that, you can have a good job, the benefits are lousy. We're going to protect our members in terms of that. And so we are hoping to educate our members, another thing, educate our members about the importance of being a member of the union and participating in the political process. Because we've got to get President Obama reelected. He's the one that holds the hope for America, and we're going to be active in getting him reelected.
One of the things that, a couple of days ago, I did a show with Rodney B. Short, who was running for Assemblywoman, and then we were talking about the importance of running, voting in local voting in local polls, voting in things that are making a difference within that. So going back to that effect, like if you're an employee within a company, voting for your local unions, members, and getting people to understand and be able to represent you and speak on your behalf is really important. Not even just to the point of re-electing the president. We're not doing a lot of that. We're not doing a lot of talk.
Well, all politics is local, as you know. All politics is local, and therefore people should get involved in their community and knowing who the representatives are and influencing those representatives to be able to do well by them. The unions generally are not partisan in terms of this candidate or that candidate, except that we support those who support us.
Yes.
All right?
That's good
I'm wearing a button today. I'm wearing a button that is the drive, the Teamster Drive button. And drive means Democrat, Republican, Independent, Okay,
All of
voter education. And so we educate our members as to what the representatives do on their behalf. And we support those who support us.
That's it.
All right? So that.
Okay, this is the end of our show. Is there any last words you would like to tell the community, or would you, last information you'd like to share with the community?
I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come on the show. Again, our president, Gregory Floyd, who has his own radio show, WWRL AM 1600. It's heard every Saturday at 3 o'clock. But Local 237 is a local within the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and Teamsters are involved not only in the political arena and not only in the negotiations for benefits arena, but also in the human services. You know, when there was the disaster in Haiti, the union was able to send materials and people to help. When Katrina hit in Louisiana, we also participated by sending supplies and huge tractor trailers. So we're there for the people. And we're there for our members.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's the end of our show. I hope you understand or learn something new. If there's any way they wanted to get in touch with you, is there a phone number or website they can contact you?
Certainly. Teamsters Local 237.org, or call us at 212-924-2000 in the city of New York.
There you go. You just had a phone number and a website, make use of it and then understand what union labor stands for within our community and how it can help us and influence us to do better. This is the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it, because I actually did. Thank you, sir, for coming.
It's a pleasure.
My pleasure's all mine. We will see you next Tuesday, same place, same times. Bye-bye.
Okay.